Hey everybody, Hellcrex here, and welcome to episode 165 of Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere. And today we're going to be talking about the Centurion. That's a mech that has some new technology added to it. But is it necessarily a good thing? Alright. Today the Centurion, 50 tons, is a 690. So it has been sped up from a 460 to a 690. Yes, it has some speed. Oh, that's going to be interesting. But how did they do it? Yes, how did they do it? They used an XL engine. So basically, I always like to say, if you have an XL engine, your life expectancy is basically cut in half. It does have Indo-Steel, so it does have 2.5 more tons there of equipment possibility. But with the XL engine, a lot of that goes into basically running around with that extra slots in the torsos. But once again, we have a mech that, well, they added Indo-Steel, XL engine, and single heat sinks. Yes, it only has 10 single heat sinks. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's kind of similar in the firepower makeup as the Wolfhound, which only has 10 single heat sinks also, but 5 tons lighter. And that was kind of a train wreck of a mech too. But here we got a mech that has an LBX-10 in the right arm with 2 tons of ammo in the right torso. It does have case in the right torso. It has an LRM-10 in the left torso with 2 tons of ammo and an Artemis fire control system. And it also has those 2 medium lasers, one to the front, one to the rear with the gear. Alright, so we have all that extra equipment on board that basically, along with the case, so if you do happen to have somebody pump around into your 3 tons of possible of ammunition and it explodes, you're only losing half the mech, but you got the XL engine, so it's still a dead mech. But at least the pilot's not turned into a pile of Swiss cheese. He only takes a couple of head hits himself and maybe passes out as the ejection seat kicks him loose. But, yeah, I'm not a fan, to be honest. Yes, it's a mech that's sped up, and that's going to help it keep it alive due to the fact that it has that speed, and you're going to probably getting a 2 to 3 modifier with that. And with that possibility, yes, if you're playing against other Inner Sphere mechs, especially if you're going against the Succession War style mechs, yeah, this is not a bad design. But if you're going to be facing off against Clan or other advanced tech mechs running around out there, this mech's life expectancy is pretty short. Especially if you look at the torsos, it only has 13 armor in those torso. So if you're facing off against Clan mechs and they have those ERPPCs and those Gauss rifles, and they get hit in the torso, you automatically have a chance of critical and the possibility of taking out an ammo bin where that XL engines are, or even hitting the XL engines. And with only single heat sinks, a single engine hit basically cuts this thing in half. Yeah, you're running around with an LBX-10, so yeah, that's not really pumping out a lot of heat. Yeah, it can easily dissipate that. So this thing can fire the LRM-10 and the LBX, and if it did take an engine hit, you know, that's not an in-game type thing, but it does start heating up if you fire those 2 weapon systems. Now, so that is pretty much going to be the biggest problem you have with this mech. The number of times I've faced one of these things, especially if you're playing a game when I'm playing the clans, this thing lasts maybe a turn or 2, if it's lucky. Because it's like, oh, I know that one. Is that the one with the XLs? Yes. Focus fire, gone. And it might last 2 turns depending on where the hits get spread out enough that it doesn't get wiped out. But it's not lasting very long. And then the amount of damage this thing can do is pretty limited. You know, you're talking if you're lucky, you might do 20 points of damage, maybe 40 before it disappears, but odds are if you're firing it as a shotgun mode with the LBX cannon, they're most likely you're only going to hit with 6 of the cluster and then 6 with that, so it's probably 12 to 24 you might do if you hit both times with that. So that's pretty much it when it comes to that mech. It's not something that's going to be really viable in the long run, survivability. Now, basically, how would you use this thing? This is one of those mechs that it's going to be sitting there at a longer distance. Since you do have those XL engines, you're going to have to kind of keep it back a ways, using the cluster munitions, and then using that LRM as your crit. This basically becomes a crit hunting mech, and it goes last in the fire mode. So basically it's like, all right, everybody else fire, try to strip as much armor off, and then if there's some holes, then this guy does the hunting for the crits because of that shotgun mode. So that's basically how I'm using this thing. But overall, in the long run of it, I probably there's a lot of times it's like I think it's the AL version. I think I talked about it in the last, maybe I didn't, I'm not sure, but when I look at it, it's like I'd rather, a lot of times run the older version, the Succession War version, and then maybe upgrade that version with some newer equipment. Especially with, a lot of it is like, okay, it's going to take some major work effort to swap out that engine if you want to go back to a standard configuration, because that's a bigger engine that's taking up a lot of slots, and you're talking a major refit, and if you're talking about playing mercenaries, that's not possible. So you're lucky if you just have a bay where you're able to repair things. You don't have, maybe hook it up to a gantry, but not totally rip it apart and restructure it literally to make up for that replaced engine. But if you did get one and you had the XL engine, and if you could do it, hey, remove the engine and put standard configuration in there. Now, there is it's like I said many times, the Centurion is one of these mechs that has a bunch of what do you call it, variants running around. So it's like, yeah, here's the one, the 2915. This is the one I was talking about. That's the one that's the Succession War one that replaces that auto cannon with the large laser. I like that one. That's my preferred one I always ran with, because I'd rather have the energy weapon myself. And okay, it has additional heat sinks. Yep, that's it. And then we talked about the D, the Delta Alpha version. Refits the LBX cannon with an auto 5, and uses precision ammo and a target computer. So with a precision ammo, you have the option of having some extra different capabilities with that. Plus, with a target computer, yeah, you get a little bit going for it. But still, you're looking at, personally, a lot of times I'd rather use the LBX cannon if I had a choice. And then we got the Delta 3 version. It's identical to the other one, but it uses triple strength Myrmer and to increase its speed. Okay, that means you gotta heat this thing up, and if you have it heated up, you're gonna be getting close to somebody, you can kick their leg off possibly. That's a good, you're talking about a good 20-point hit. That's not bad. But you got to get close, and most times getting close is not really in your favor with this mech, because a lot of times it's going to get ripped to pieces before it even gets there. And then we have the Delta 3 Delta version. This is a long sniper version, came out in 3060. Uses mask, and it has a light Gauss rifle for longer range shooting. Has the LRM-10. and an ER medium laser and ferrofibrous armor. So it does carry a little bit of armor. And maybe I forgot to mention it. This has 136 points of armor. Not good. I did mention, it's like it doesn't take much to take out a torso, but yeah, because it's short by a lot when it comes to the armor section. It's like 169's max. This is you're talking 2 tons short of maximum when it comes to the armor. So all right. Okay, then we have the 9 Delta, the Delta 9, I guess that has light ferrofibrous armor, plasma rifle. So there we go. So now we're does have ammo with that plasma rifle. It has 2 ER medium lasers in the chest, double heat sinks. So finally we're getting something with double heat sinks, but that's taken 20 something years down the line, after the fact, before you start seeing something with double heat sinks. And then we have the hotel version. It came out in 77, so we're talking 27 years later after this version comes out. And it has a primitive engine. Yeah, this is like Dark Ages type style stuff, and carries around a rocket engine. Yeah, and then we have the Bravo version. Came out in 57. Uses the Indo Steel chassis. It has the LBX 10 and an LRM 10 with Artemis, and it's backed up with some medium pulse lasers. Alright, so not much different there, but that's a heavier version. So they basically increased the tonnage of it to give it a little bit extra equipment. So in the long run, if you had access, most of the time if you're a mercenary company and you have access to a Centurion, you're probably going to have the Succession War version. Rebuild one of those with double heat sinks when you get access to those, and maybe put an ER PPC or ER large laser instead, and then take that extra tonnage that you had with the LBX cannon and maybe put on some medium lasers and some other assorted goodies. But that's pretty much, to sum it up. Let's see, let me find the one. Here's the one I did with the I think it's based on the it's Alpha Lima version I was talking about. Still a 4.6, but I put jump jets on it, so it's a 4.64 mobile that way. Has an ER PPC, and I put on an extra medium laser, and I put on Guardian ECM, and I was running it with a C3 Slave. And it doesn't have an XL, so there you go. So its life expectancy is pretty good, and it still only has 10 double heat sinks. So it can heat up pretty good, but it can handle that aspect of it. So if it's one of those mechs, if you fired the PPC and the LRM and jumped with it for some reason, you're going to heat up. Or you got those 3 medium lasers on board, you can fire that and the LRM and not worry about heat up. Or if somebody gets in close, you got some options with that one. And it's not really a well balanced on the heat scale, but it's got something for up close and personal and a little bit longer range, and that Guardian helps a little bit. So that is pretty much it. That is the Centurion in a nutshell. I'm not a fan of the new version of it. I like the speed of it, but I don't like it because it comes at the cost of having that XL engine, because the life expectancy is basically cut in half. So that's it. Hope you guys like this one. Like and subscribe and share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Hellcracks out.